everybody, welcome back to the channel. This video is a part 2, but can also be watched on its own. This video is a part 2 to why you need to meditate if you have unexplained chronic pain. So this video is for people who have chronic pain, who have been to doctors. The doctors have no idea what's going on. In my instance, I've done MRIs, X-rays, and blood tests, and they have no explanation, yet my body is on fire. What are my symptoms? I have irritable bowel syndrome, and it's very intense. The foods I eat are severely limited, constantly getting smaller. It's so annoying. I have urgency to pee. I have to pee every 15 minutes. All the time, and that comes with its own bag of stress and anxiety, and it's also very painful. I also have nerve pain. I get flare-ups in my pelvic floor. That can be very intense and painful. It feels like a knife stabbing a little bit below my belly button. And I also have a rib that on x-rays looks perfectly fine. Spine looks good, but I have a rib that digs into my sternum is what it feels like, and it crackles and pops. It hurts. Doctors say it could be what's called costochondritis, which all that means is inflammation in the rib, but they never know what causes it. So my body is stuck with all of these unexplained physical pains, and it has ruined my life. I had to drop out of school. I had to quit my job that was a physical job. And I used to break my knuckles out of anger and frustration because I'm not getting answers and these issues have stacked. So this video is about meditation. This is a part 2 on why meditation is critical for healing. So I'm on a healing journey. I used to not meditate, now I do, and it is very helpful. Check out my first video. Anyway, if you relate to anything I'm saying, this might be helpful to you. And my symptoms have actually gotten a lot better. And so what that shows is if there's no medical explanation for my suffering, then that could mean that a lot of this is nervous system related. That's my theory. I ended up actually getting an autism diagnosis, and getting that really helped. So I found out I have autism at 25, and all of this is very related. And you might be in the same boat. You might be trying to attack your physical pain from the lens of the medical system, but if you're not having answers, you might simply just be someone who has autism and you don't even know it, and your body's on fire. So that's how powerful our brains are. My brain has been screaming to me physically, and I guess I was lucky enough to listen and figure out the autism diagnosis was on accident, but it's been very helpful. And meditation's critical. So I know that was a long intro, but this video is for specific people who just need to get to survive for the next day. I hope this helps. This might not be for everyone. So let me explain why meditation is so critical. There's the state that your body is in horrible pain. That's my lived reality 24/7. But there's also a version of you that eventually is healed. That's the goal, right? Or at least you manage things a lot better. And so what I want to point out to you, I have some notes here. What I want to point out to you is that I used to not meditate, and my mind was constantly focused on the pain. All day I was fixated on my rib that hurt. I was fixated on my irritable bowel syndrome, what foods I couldn't eat, and it stressed me out. And I was fixated on the fear and anxiety of if I got a flare-up, if I would get, or when I would get that nerve pain. And so living my life like that is awful. I lost a ton of hair at the time. It's still, I guess, coming back. And so I was in a constant state of anger and fear because of what's going on in my body. And you might be in the same boat too. Chronic pain is a big emotional battle. It can drain you. And so not only are you in chronic physical pain, but you're probably also in emotional pain constantly. And what I realized is that does not help. It doesn't make your burden any lighter. So what meditation can do is you can train yourself to have a mindset that is ready to heal. This video is going to prove that meditation is required for the path of healing, at least in my lived experience, and I'm going to explain why, and I hope it clicks. It's very fascinating. So let me explain. We can easily get stuck in these loops of this part of my body's in pain, this part of my body's in pain. What if this part of my body flares up and then I'm in pain? Fear, anxiety. We tell ourselves these narratives that are terrifying, and that only amplifies everything, right? I have a video explaining all of this in another video. I go deeper on that and I use good examples. But this video is about why you need to meditate to get on the path of healing. So, if you can think yourself into anxiety, tension, all that stuff, you can also think yourself into healing. And I know that sounds bizarre. Again, that's the last video. I kind of explain it very well. But what we need to recognize is that your nervous system is probably maxed out. Your nervous system's at 110% all the time. Your body's screaming it needs help, right? That's all pain is. It's a signal. Your body's saying, pay attention. But if it's undiagnosed, it's frustrating. So the goal is to reduce that frustration, and the symptoms can get better. So, the thought pattern that occurs in your mind when you're in that lived state that I was in is you're constantly training your brain to look for pain. If that's how you live and you're miserable, your mind is constantly looking for pain. And that becomes a habit. And it's subconscious. So you're subconsciously already meditating. You're already looking, where does my body hurt? Where does my body hurt? Where does my body hurt? It hurts here, it hurts here. And of course you're going to be frustrated, anxious, sad, depressed, because you're constantly looking and trying to, pay attention to what hurts. And that's totally logical, reasonable, and understandable. And that's okay to do. I do that. That's normal. You're human, right? What we need to do, if we want to be on the path of healing, this is a required must. We need to get in the habit of looking for sensations in your body that feel good. Because two things can be true at the same time. You can have chronic pain here. You can also have chronic pain here in your lower body. But your hands can feel good. You can get a massage on your back and that feels good. You could bust a nut and that feels good, or, whatever else, right? So you can have pleasure in your body. You can also have pain. But something that I personally experienced is